In a data migration, there are a few different types of data that need to be considered and handled. Master data and opening balances, those are both requirements to be moved into your new Sage Intacct environment. The big question, however, is what to do with all the historical transactional data and detail that you've accumulated in your previous system. Migrating all of that historical data into Sage Intacct can not only be complicated, but it can also be quite expensive in terms of time and money. This is where Popdock can come into play. Popdock at its core is an end-user-driven ad hoc query tool where we can connect to different systems to query data from those applications, and then we can present that data in the application your users work in. In the case of a data migration, we either connect directly to the historical application or we move your historical data to a data lake. Now, for some legacy or source systems, we also have a data lake upload tool that can aid in the process of moving the historical data to a data lake as well. Once we have established a connection to that legacy system or data lake, we can then query that data and display those queries right inside of Intacct. The key here is that we're not moving that historical data into Intacct, but rather querying it directly from the source at the time of the request. So let's jump into Intacct to show the experience of accessing your historical data inside the application. What you're seeing here is a Popdock widget that we have embedded on an Intacct dashboard. And the cool thing about this widget is that it contains data from a variety of different systems. So not only does it contain some groups and lists of data that are pointing to this live Intacct environment, but you can also see that we have some groups of data and lists that are pointing to CRM systems. We have data coming from a help desk solution. And then we also have this history group where we've taken historical data, archived it to a data lake, and then are surfacing that history right inside of Intacct. So let's go in and let's select one of those. We're now seeing a historical list of account transactions coming from a legacy ERP. Now within this interface, we give people a whole host of functionality to really ask questions of that historical data. So you as a user can come in and do things like grab additional fields. So you can select what columns you'd want to bring in. Popdock would then go re-query the source to grab those additional fields. You can also see that we can remove fields just as easily. So if I wanted to remove any of those that I add, you'll notice that they drop in real time. Everything inside of this interface is all drag and drop. So if I wanted to move the transaction date to the front of my list, I could drag it on over. I can also do things like grouping. So if I wanted to group my account transactions by the description, you'll notice that all of the groups are expanded at this time. We do have the ability to collapse them and then individually expand them as needed to see the records that make up any of these groups. Within this interface, you have the ability to apply as many filters as you want to your list. So you have the ability to really easily ask questions of that historical data. In addition to that, you also have capabilities of exporting this data out. So if you want to work with this data in Excel, Popdock can help facilitate that. Taking this a step further though, not only can we display historical data as is, but with Popdock we can also create custom lists that might be combining data from this live Intacct environment in this case with historical data from a historical ERP. So this is an example of a merge list where we've taken live Intacct data, like I had mentioned, and merged it together with our historical data. And we're showing a combined view of sales transactions. You'll notice on the right side here, there's a column that says source connector, and it just tells us where these records live. So you can see the full first page is showing live Intacct data, but when I change the sort on that, we're also combining it with historical data from a GP environment that's sitting in a data lake. So when it comes to your history, whether you want to see standalone historical lists, Popdock can help with that, or we can take it a step further and combine it, creating these merged views, giving you a life-to-date view of historical data with ongoing data from your Intacct environment. In addition to using this dashboard, we can also embed these Popdock widgets on different objects within Intacct. So I'm going to jump over to this tab where we're taking, in this case, historical Dynamics GP payables transactions, and we've embedded it on this object. Now the cool thing is when we embed these on the objects, you'll notice that the data is pre-filtered. It's only showing us transactions that are tied to this specific vendor in this case. But you still have all that same functionality of being able to access or ask questions of the data We're just making it more context sensitive to this specific page. So here's another example of that. In this case, it is showing purchase order history that is tied to this vendor. And you'll notice on the bottom here, we have a couple of different carets where we can also show related information to other lists of data. So in this case, it's now showing me the lines that are tied to this specific PO number. So as you can see with Popdock, we can provide access to your historical data in Sage Intacct without the hassle of having to configure all of your history to fit your new system.